to learn from heaven what we need to do here on earth to bring glory to heaven. Lord, you know as well as I do that this is the new way that we're spreading the gospel. You've opened this avenue, and we want to do it the way you desire for us to do it. So that we ask you for your wisdom now. In the precious name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. I I have the honor and the privilege tonight to have some amazing guests with us. Uh, Brother Rob Magger, he is uh, without a doubt just a expert in this field, and he's going to share his expertise. And then Bishop Dwayne Morey, I love these individuals. So honored that they would come and join us tonight. And then, as always, we have our in-house New Jersey technicians, the gurus, the ones every time you say, "Man, you guys are doing so good in New Jersey." No, it's nothing really to do with me. It's God has built an amazing team around me. So we have Reverend Sobey and Bishop Ritz Denton, along with Dr. Corvina Denton, engineering things behind the scene. And then we added to our team Morgan. Morgan is doing a phenomenal job of getting this broadcast from the New Jersey broadcast studio out to you live now. So, with that being said, we had a phenomenal conversation leading up to this, discussions about things you should do, things that you may want to consider. And tonight is going to be a challenge for you to maybe rethink some of the things you thought was good about what you were doing, and maybe get your mind to focus in on things that you can do better, or maybe things that you can stop doing because it's not necessary. So thank you again. I'm going to turn it over. Bishop Ritz, are you live in the studio ready to talk to us, or should I go to one of our other special guests?
I am ready. Hope you guys are hearing me. I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much, Bishop. And thank you for those kind words. I'm not quite sure if I'm an expert yet, but I am endeavoring to be an expert. Thank you so much for joining in this live broadcast, and we just hope that we are a blessing to you tonight. As a bishop says, I am joined by a team of experts, and our aim tonight is to give you best practices and also to help you along your journey as you consider a, a church or a ministry that involves technology. I am I've been watching this YouTuber. He is a Christian apologetics, and no, he doesn't walk around and apologize for the gospel. He defends the gospel. His name is Wesley Huff, and you please feel free to look him up on YouTube. Very profound guy, and someone who the Lord is using in this season. So he has a YouTube video that he has posted. It talks about the history of technology and Christianity. Now that just piques my interest because I am a lover of technology. So he spoke about scrolls being one of the first technology that the early Christians adapted in order to get the message of the gospel out. And many of us don't really think about technology in that sense. But yes, the early Christians use the scrolls. You know what scrolls is? It's a long sheet of paper. Some says that it could be up to 12 or more feet that they would write on. And that was one of the early adaptation of the early church that they used to get the message out. He also spoke about the codex, which we know now as books. And the early Christians adapted this in order to communicate the message of the gospel. Then goes on to speak about the printing press. And we know the effectiveness of the printing press. Now we're able to instead of writing a book, we are able to write one book and then go from there in order to produce many books. So that helped to only further propel the message of the gospel. And then he spoke about his journeying down through history. He speaks about radio. And, many of us today, we don't pause and listen to the radio like we used to do back in the days. But yes, radio was one medium that was used to spread the gospel. And then he journeyed on to the television, and then we got the televangelists. So as you see that throughout history, technology has been used to further the gospel. Now, where does that leave us in the 21st century? We have a new technology that can help us to get the message directly into people's hand. And of course, I'm talking about this little device that we all walk around with in our pockets that's called the cell phone. Many call it a supercomputer. And where some sees, because we tell our kids, me included, that please get off the phone. You're spending too much time on the phone. But the truth is, the way the world is going now, people are glued to their phone. Now, we could see it as a disadvantage, or we could see that as an advantage, as another thing that we could use in the 21st century to get the gospel across. We have the ability now in this 21st century to engage with people where others before us didn't have. Let me just say that again. We now have the ability to engage with people all over the world where the apostles didn't have without traveling, where Jesus himself didn't have. We have that ability now. But do we want to embrace it, or do we want to demonize it? So today we are going to talk about and give you the tools about using technology in ministry. And I want to just hand it right over. Bishop gave them both a welcome, and I just want to again pass off another welcome to Bishop Dwayne Morey. Go ahead, sir.
Hey guys, it's great to be with you this evening as we are discussing and talking about the need for utilizing technology in our churches and our ministries. It's great to be here with Bishop Birch and the entire team and all that's been prepared for this evening's conversation. It's also great to have with us Rob Maggard on this call with us, and he'll be sharing some thoughts as well as we unpack this conversation. And then we're going to go into some question and answer time later to be able to just even go deeper with our conversation of technology in the church. Technology in the church is important to us because, as it's already mentioned, the history of how we've communicated has changed and transformed over time. And as we've seen this transform and this life change, we have to learn to adapt to what that change looks like. So what does that look like for our churches today, and how do we operate our ministries utilizing the technology and the social media that's available to us? So as we talk this evening, we want to look at a couple of key points that churches can look at for success in utilizing technology, for success in communicating and utilizing social media, and hopefully be able to answer some of your questions as we kind of unpack this a little bit more. But one of the things that we noticed back in 2020 and during a time of COVID when we were not able to gather together in person, we had to evolve and we had to quickly pivot to a more streamlined way of communicating. And what many of us did is we went to Facebook Live or to social media or to YouTube or Vimeo or somewhere, and we cast a video of a message or our messages live so that we can communicate to our parishioners within their four walls of their homes. Now that we are able to gather together again, many of our churches has continued to stream and utilize the media means available to them. However, tonight I want us to ask a couple of questions about why we continue to do the live streaming we do. And if we are doing them, are there things that we can do to improve the way that we minister through utilizing technology? One of the most important things that I think is very important when it comes to technology is reaching um, inside the homes with good audio and good video. This evening, even I love technology. I think technology is wonderful, but even utilizing technology, sometimes we have glitches. And at the very beginning of our conversation tonight, we didn't have audio. It's in the chat thread right now. Hey, we couldn't hear at the beginning. And those things happen, mistakes happen, or technology glitches, or different things transpires to cause us to not be able to have all of the things in place. And we have to ask ourselves, as we are generating the content that we're generating today in our churches, are we just putting a cell phone up, or are we just connecting to Streamcast or to OBS or to some kind of a streaming software and just letting it go and not really engaging our online audience? Because during COVID, when we didn't have people in house, we were strictly talking to the people through the camera. We weren't speaking to people in the room. And now we've kind of evolved to where we are speaking to the people in the room, and we're also speaking to people online. And we have to start kind of looking at the hybrid services in which we do and how we lead our ministries, and ask ourselves, are we effectively reaching our online audience, and are we ministering to them well and discipling them well? And so we've got to look at the quality of what we're producing on our online streams. One, we have to invest in good quality audio. Statistics show us that people will listen to good audio and not necessarily care as much about the video quality as long as it has good audio. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that we're already accustomed to listening to audio style moments where it's maybe we've been accustomed to listen to podcasts or listen to audiobooks or things like that. And our bodies are already adapted, our ears, our minds are already adapted to audio, and we'll listen to something without ever looking at it or without ever watching it. And now we have the capability of having both, to where we can do audio and video. And so many times, if that audio is not good, I can immediately tell you that those people that are scrolling through social media or connecting with you on social media, they won't stay long, because not very many people are lip readers. Not very many people will stay engaged. Because if they can't hear you and if they can't hear what you're trying to communicate, then your message really is not being communicated. And so we have to step back and say, okay, as I evaluate my online presence, is my audio quality good? And if it's not, what can I do to improve that? And that's some things that maybe we can unpack in the conversation at the end of this, is what are a couple of items that we can do to look at to make sure that we do have good audio. Visual clarity is important, but I don't think it's quite as important as audio clarity. But I do think that we should strive for excellence in all that we do within the church. But sometimes one may lack better than the other in the sense of how that quality looks. And I would lean more to audio than just video. We also know that internet can be challenging and it can cause video to buffer, and audio may continue on, or audio may get ahead of video and it looks like Chinese talk there, where the mouth doesn't match the lips of what's being said. But if we have good, clear audio, most individuals would continue to stay engaged. But with that, how do we engage our audiences? How are we communicating to them? And I would think that we would need to start thinking about this hybrid experience that we have in our churches, and evaluate, why do we continue to do live streaming? Why are we continuing to do ministry through social media and through the web when people are now able to come back inside the church? Most people would answer that to say, we want to reach as many people as we possibly can. And I think that's a great answer. I think that's definitely one of the things that we do want to do, is reach as many people as possible through the means of technology. However, are we truly reaching them with the gospel message if our message is not being presented in a clear manner or in a practical manner? And so we need to ask ourselves a couple of questions as to why we are continuing to do the streaming that we do. Why do we stay engaged in the media that we're staying engaged in? Why are we providing the resource that we're providing? And as we start asking those questions, it kind of generates some more questions. If we are hybrid now and we communicate to the people that are in the room, what do we do when we're in the room? We'll shake people's hands, we'll give them a hug, we will welcome them. We do a lot of things inside of our four walls of our church to make people feel welcome. But usually we don't take the time whenever we have people in the room and people online to make the people online feel as welcome as those in the room. So it may be one of those things that we would want to consider having a campus pastor or a campus host that's virtually communicating and welcoming that online audience. As you can see tonight, just by producing this YouTube stream, it takes multiple people to be able to pull off this feat through the power of technology, through the uses that we have available. And it's great to be able to do what we're doing. But there's someone that's chatting with the team online to say, hey, yes, we noticed that there was no audio. We're getting on top of that. Or, hey, welcome to tonight's conversation. We're so glad that you're here and you're engaging this conversation. So we have to ask ourselves, as a church that's streaming our services online, are we engaging our audience the way that we're portraying it tonight through what we're watching and what we're experiencing? If we're not doing that, then we might want to step back and ask ourselves, why are we putting our media online? Why are we streaming our services? I do know that there was an email that was sent out by Facebook recently that the history, if you have archived video on your Facebook Lives, they're going to eventually delete those from the servers. And they're telling people that you may want to download your videos if you want to keep them. It's not a place that's going to house video forever, because as many people went to this median of reaching and sharing through video, it has caused us to have to pivot and say, okay, where do we want our stuff to live? So I would recommend, maybe we need to think about the platforms that we stream on, the places that we house our media, whether it's YouTube or whether it's Vimeo. It's great to have it in Facebook, and it's great to have Facebook Live and the ease of Facebook. It's great to have Zoom and the ease to be able to portray video through this meme. But we need to think about the software that we're using. We need to think about how we can enhance that engagement. Rob probably could speak to this great from the conversation of event enhancement. But church is not just an event. However, it is somewhat of an event to pull off the things that we pull off every Sunday, week in, week out. And how can you enhance that moment, that encounter, that experience? And so how can you enhance social media, and how can you enhance the streaming aspect of what you're doing? So we have to ensure accessibility and inclusiveness. We have to communicate from the pulpit if we're going to speak to both in-house and online. Hey, if you're online and it's time for prayer, a lot of times in our churches, we'll ask people to raise their hands in the service to share a need or to show us that they have a need. Why would it not take a few more moments to add it into our vocabulary as the pastor or as the person leading that conversation to say, hey, if you're online with us, put it in the chat. Let us know what we can pray for you about. And our prayer team will get those prayer needs, and we'll look to those, and we'll pray on your behalf based on the things that you're sharing in that chat. A lot of our churches like to have conversation in the sermon. We like to have an amen every so often. Oh, go ahead, preacher, or whatever. How do we incorporate those conversations into our social media? If we're going to stream, how do we get the end of the audience that's engaged online to be engaged into the service instead of just being a participant or a spectator sitting and watching? Now, with all of these questions that we're kind of unfolding, it doesn't mean that the social media aspect or streaming aspect is a negative thing. It's a great resource for us to have, but we really need to ask ourselves, why are we doing what we're doing? and at what level of excellence are we producing the content that we're producing? Because I would love to be able to release this burden off of you. If you feel like you're doing your stream because it's just what everyone else is doing and you're just trying to do what everyone else is doing, can I tell you that you could stop? It's okay to just put a pause on that ministry if you're not succeeding or doing it well, because it doesn't mean that you're missing out on reaching all of the people around the world, because most likely there's probably not that many people engaging what you're putting out if it's not engaged, able to be engaged, or the quality is not at a point to where I would want to continue to watch it. Statistically, we've got to do research. Many times we've gotten into this mode in social media and the world of media that we just kind of put stuff out there, but we never go back to research to see whether or not it's actually making an impact. It's easy for us to look to see if there's an impact in the service, especially in the moments of preaching and preaching live. We see a response. Many times we end our services with what? An altar call. We ask people to take a step of faith that moment to come down into the church service. And yet we don't ask anyone online to take a step. We don't reach out back to them to say, hey, this is what your next step is, or this is how you can take that step. And so really, why do we have this median available if we're not going to engage through the different ways of connecting individuals to the calls of Christ and to being able to be discipled? So as we think through these things, I just want to encourage you tonight. There are some great best practices. Regular testing the equipment, testing the setup, testing the stream, watching what you've produced. Go back and actually see what you've done, and whether or not you enjoy watching it. Because if you don't enjoy watching it, probably the next person doesn't enjoy watching it. And so evaluate yourself, get your team to evaluate it, get parishioners to evaluate it, get people who actually come to the church service to go home and say, hey, would you just take this week and go back and watch the message and maybe point out a few things that they can dig deeper in their discipleship journey. Utilize the time. If you're going to invest the time to put it on social media or to put it out there on YouTube, why just let it sit on an archived desk somewhere? Get your church to go back and re-engage that. And you can utilize technology to help people re-engage your messages by utilizing AI to cut up audio and to cut up your clips so that you can put those out as shorts so that people can go back and be re-engaged with the message that you preached on Sunday. Volunteer training is important when it comes to media and the teams that you have in your church to be able to do it. And if you don't have volunteers to be able to do the ministry, that goes with anything in church, not just social media and video. If you really don't have the teams to be able to do all the things that you want to accomplish, it may be one of those things that you may want to step back and say, maybe we should put a pause on this ministry right now until God brings us the people that actually help us facilitate that to that level of excellence in which we can achieve. Content archiving, making sure you're keeping up with where your content's going, and just feedback mechanisms, encouraging viewers to feedback through continuously asking them to share and talk through what's being taken place. Now, there's a ton of AI tools that are out there that can help you in your ministries. There's a ton of other things and resources that can help you. But before we kind of get into that, and we can maybe unpack that more in more conversation, I'd like to lean over to my good friend Rob Maggard and just let him hit a couple of highlights before we wrap up tonight's brief conversation on social media and live streaming. So, Rob, step in there. You've kind of heard what I've shared. Pivot that to some of the things that you've shared with some of our other states and regions and your own expertise in this area.
Thanks, Dwayne. First of all, I want to say thank you to Bishop Birch and First Lady Lorna for having me and trusting me to be a part of this tonight. If you haven't, you've already figured this out. They are nothing but excellence, and they're incredible leaders to follow. And Dwayne, that was a great, so many great points, so many great things that are coming out, and just my mind is exploding with a million things we could talk about right now, because I love talking about this. I loved the ideas behind getting the message out, but this is what comes to my mind right now, and I'll be very brief. When you stream, it is the front door of your church. Statistics are telling us that now. Most people, when they decide to attend your church, they're deciding because they first watched a live stream to see what they were going to get before they came. So it's important that you make live streaming a priority if that's what you're doing. And if you're not, you should consider it. But oh my gosh, when it comes to live streaming, we can unpack quality, and Dwayne made so many good points about that. But here's where I think it all starts at. 2 years ago, I agreed to take a part-time position at a local church in Cleveland. I work for the Church of God International Offices and Communications. I've had the privilege of doing that for 8 years. I have two companies that do this type of work and also other types of media work. But I took on this job. I felt led of the Lord to take this 2 years ago at Mount Olive, fantastic church in Cleveland, Tennessee. Pastor Gary Sears was there for many years, and now his son James pastors the church. And they asked me to come on and help them revamp their media department. And as I went in and kind of took stock, and I kind of began to build a philosophy of what creating media ministry in church was and helping them bring excellence to their live stream. This is what I realized. The most important thing that I had to do there for media to work was to build a team. I had to have a team of people that didn't just see themselves as sitting behind a camera or sitting behind a switcher or a soundboard or a live streaming mix. They had to see themselves as a minister, someone who played a vital role. And I spent the first year just building that team, and the enthusiasm and the buy-in that it brought took us to a new level. And it also brought awareness to the church as we began to promote our stream and through social media. And now it's after about 7 days after church is ended on a Sunday morning, we have about 3 times as many people who have viewed our stream through YouTube and our website, and some on Facebook as well, but we mostly push YouTube and our website. And then we're in the morning worship service, and this is a church that runs 500 plus. We end up having 1,500 to 2,000 people who view the stream. It's that important. So my encouragement to you, just to start off before we go into the questions and answers, and Dwayne has covered so many great things, and like I said, my mind's exploding with things we could be talking about right now. I want to say this. You have to make it a priority. And there's a saying in business that a friend of mine taught me, and you've heard this before. It's not something new. There's nothing new under the sun. He said, if you want to do something and it costs money, you have to realize sometimes it's just the cost of doing business. And I want you to know that when it comes to media, it's not free, it's not cheap. Sometimes there's just a cost to doing it. And we want a new thing in church, we want a new big piece of equipment or a new bit, we raise money for it. Sometimes we have to be willing to invest to the equipment and the materials and the training of our people so that we can see it become a reality. And I'm not going to go much further because I know we're pretty low on time, but I just want to say I'm encouraged by you guys having this discussion here right now. Dwayne has brought so many amazing points. Dwayne's awesome. He's got such great knowledge and wisdom in this stuff as well. And I look forward to maybe interacting with you guys in a few minutes in this chat, if that's okay. Thanks, Bishop Birch and Lorna and all of you that have made this a great reality and a possibility. Thank you so much.
Amen. Thank you so much, Bishop Dwayne Morey and Bishop Rob. You guys are just, oh man, my head is exploding for all the fantastic information. Boom, just thoughts keep hitting like jabs, like uppercuts. Just saying, hey, listen, rethink, the strategy. Why are we on Facebook? YouTube may be a better avenue to get the information out. Sound quality, you don't have it, don't put it out there. People listen better than they view. That's so good, and so I'm just so excited about what God has allowed us to hear tonight, what God is doing in New Jersey, utilizing the social media. Before we get off, this is going to go a little bit longer than normal, but Bishop Moore, you said something during our time together. We talked about choosing different platforms. Some people are utilizing TikTok, some are utilizing Instagram, some are on Facebook. You were saying, why utilize these things whenever, help me with the verbiage there and explain that a little bit more. I think that'll really help to bring clarity.
Very much so, Bishop. We had a great conversation with the team prior to this meeting, and the question was asked to me, hey, how would you utilize TikTok in your ministry? And the question that I always pose back, I usually don't give very many answers. I ask a lot of questions, but in those questions that I ask, we find an answer. And the question was this: how do you utilize the different streams to be able to reach the people that you're going after? And the question is who do you want to win? Who is it that you're trying to minister to? If you're trying to minister to millennials and somewhat Gen Z, you're going to find most of them on Instagram. If you're going to go with boomers or a little older congregation, you're going to reach them more or less on Facebook. If you want your messages to stream to the world, to make a connection in a bigger platform, TikTok is definitely a place for that. But you're going to spend a lot more time and energy, I believe, trying to make your videos work in the algorithm of what's being played on TikTok. What do I mean by that? TikTok is a platform that whatever you look at on TikTok, that is what you'll continually see on TikTok. So if you watch funny videos, you're going to see funny videos. If you watch a bunch of preachers, you're going to see a bunch of preachers. If you watch cars racing on a racetrack, you're going to see cars racing on a racetrack. TikTok is going to feed you whatever it is that you spend the most time with your eyes on the screen looking at. And for a minister or a ministry to try to break into that platform, they're going to break into it, but they're probably just going to be speaking to people who are watching Christian conversation already. It's not going to randomly just end up on some person's feed that's just going to speak to them or change their life forever. And so it's one of those platforms that you got to really consider, what are you trying to do with, and why are you trying to use it. Instagram's great to put shorts out and to put 30-second clips of your message or good points that you want to just drive home. Facebook's a great place to put the whole thing and let people just watch the entire deal. But I would probably say that the majority of your viewers on your videos, if you went back and looked at the analytics, you would have a whole lot of 3-second views and probably not very many that actually finished watching the entire clip. And we live in a generation right now that loves to be able to fast forward. They will click that button to fast forward through that message or through whatever it is to get to the parts that they want to listen to, or to see what's really going to be said or what's the whole scope. And then if they like it, then they maybe will go back and watch the entire message. But most of the time, they're just going to skip through it as quickly as possible to move forward in that process. So I hope that it kind of answered the question that you were driving toward there, Bishop. But we have to be mindful of the audience that we're trying to reach and what we want to accomplish in the message that we're trying to communicate.
Absolutely. I
If I could
love
say something, if I could say something to that, Bishop Birch, just real quick, if you don't mind.
absolutely. Sure.
Yeah, I think a question that has to be answered there, and what Dwayne was driving toward, is that you have to choose what you're trying to do. A streaming platform is different than just a straight posting of social media posts, like where you're putting a clip on. And typically on a platform like oh my lord, what did we just want TikTok? It's a clip posting platform, not a streaming platform. So it's very important to find your audience, and we all know this, that YouTube is still the largest streaming platform if you're going to stream, for eyes and people watching it. And I want to make a point and this is a free tip to everybody if you didn't know this, and this is just a funny point. People are skipping through videos now, and YouTube is now site wide put, if you hold on the right side of your screen, you can watch the video at 2x speed. I'm just getting some statistics on that. YouTube's starting to release it. How many people now are watching videos at 2x speed? So you need to realize people are wanting for quick stuff, but if you're going to stream, you got to make sure your stuff's on a platform that's for a streaming platform. And those are truly YouTube, Facebook, more YouTube, Vimeo, things like that.
Wow, thank you so much. And people don't realize their audience that you're trying to get in touch with. Sinners versus saints. If you have content that you're just putting out to the Christians, why go to Facebook when you are, trying to just do some in-depth teaching? We were talking to one of our churches, and they said, hey, their pastor got off of Facebook and simply went to YouTube. And a lot of people say, oh, that's bad. No, if your content is for your church, if you're doing a Wednesday night service just for your church, why go Facebook? The people who are you trying to communicate to are going to be lost because you're going to be speaking Christianese. So why not take that content over to YouTube and stream from YouTube? You don't have to put everything on Facebook. If you want to reach sinners, you have to speak in the language of sinners on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook. If you're reaching the lost, you got to speak their language. But if you're speaking to Christians and teaching in-depth Bible studies, maybe your platform wants you maybe want to go to YouTube or do something like that. So everything doesn't have to be streamed, and especially if it's not good quality. If you don't have good quality, good sound, just step back. You know, one of the things that we talked about as well, Bishop Ritz, you're live in the studio. We talked about some of the distance between the actual visual and the audio. People are not utilizing microphones that are connected into their sound system, and the quality of sound is so distorted that immediately when you get on, you cannot bear it, so you just move away. Only the people who love you will stick around. The people who are looking for Christ, they're not going to tune in because they cannot take it. So those are things that we kind of dialogued about. But Bishop Ritz
Yes.
and Reverend Sobey,
And let me just
it's over to
jump
you.
right on. Thank you so much, Dwayne and Rob, for the information that you've provided so far. One thing, working in technology and being on the customer service side, I realized one of the challenges people face about technology is that they're just intimidated by it. All right, we throw out big words like servers and so on and so forth, and that really scares people. And they don't know, so they don't attempt or they don't try it. They think it's a hurdle that they won't be able to cross. So when we talk about sound, like I started out in ministry as a sound technician. I have a very keen ear for sound, so that's the thing I listen out for. I walk in your church and I could tell you whose mic is too high and whose mic needs to be turned down just a little bit. And it's intimidating. But yes, we need to focus on providing quality sound I'm also a consumer of social media. Yeah, I am. I'm not on TikTok, but I'm on Instagram and Facebook and so on and so forth. So I put out content that I would also want to watch, right? I judge that for myself. I say, okay, if I will skip over something because it's too long or you're taking too long to get to the point, yes, then when I put it out, I want to make sure that someone won't skip over my content. And we want to pay attention to sound, video, but the challenge now lies in, all right, do I need to get a DSLR camera? Can I still use do I need a camcorder? Do I need to get so on and so forth? What do I need to get the best audio? What I tell people, just start. Start somewhere. iPhone cameras, they are, we could debate this, but I believe that they are still one of the best. People will challenge me on Android, but yes, in general, what I'm trying to say is that your cell phone that you have in your hands could provide you awesome video quality that you could use and take advantage of your soundboard, plug it into a mic, utilizing your computer, so you just get the best clear, crisp sound so that nothing gets lost in translation. One of the hardest things to do is listen to a church sermon that is drowned out by the keyboard, the drums, and nothing is coming in clear. So just, you don't know what you don't know. So just pay attention to these things and clean up your audio, clean up your video. All right, so please, if you're in the audience, we're going to get into question and answers. But I also want to bring on Reverend Sobey. He is a expert in in cybersecurity. And this is one thing that we do want to talk about because I caution people that listen, what you put out on the internet, it's real
Yeah.
and it's out there and it could and it have the possibility to be out there forever. And when we had the meeting, the planning meeting, this is something that we spoke about. How do you stay conscious of what you are putting out so that you don't get the backlash? And Sobe, you could answer, but also my brother Dwayne, if you could also chime in on this. Go ahead.
Oh, I can definitely say that sometimes having the feedback from not only your own congregation, but those who are not a part of your congregation. I very quickly recall, very simply, Jesus asked a very important question to two very important questions to his disciples. One was, "Who do people say that I am?" Second is, "Who do you say that I am?" And a lot of times we like the second portion of it, where our church says, "My church has the best audio, my church has the best video, my church has the best preaching," and we oftentimes forget the fact that there are people outside the walls of our church that are listening and speaking into our church, and they're allowing us to invest into them. A lot of times I go to a lot of different churches. On Sunday, I subscribe to many different churches. And what I end up saying to most of the pastors that I have the tremendous privilege to speak to, and one of the first words that I say is, "Thank you for investing into me." Because the word of God that they speak in the four walls of their church, you never ever realize the fact that you're also touching so many other lives that are listening into your live stream. And so everything that we said here today, I am so thankful that we have Bishop Morley and Pastor Rob also here with us to kind of bring everything together to say it's important to have know who you're speaking to. It's important to know what message we're putting out. It's important to know if our audio, our video, it's important to know that we're having good feedback into what our own ministry is. One of the greatest things that I have in my church is I have people who listen and say, "Hey, the audio was really bad," or "Hey, the audio was really low." And sometimes, initially it's like, "Oh, they're criticizing." They're not. They're trying to help your ministry. They're trying to help your church. They're trying to help your media ministry be better. And so by being better, we are more conscientious going forward that, hey, this was something that was an issue and I should take time to address it going forward. I can definitely use some help from, I guess, Pastor Rob or Pastor Morley to, I guess, confirm that point.
I confirm it 100%. I mean, everything you've said is on the money. I mean, it's just the way it is. You have to prioritize it. You're right. I give you my full agreement.
I think
I
Brother
don't think
Rob,
Dwight agrees. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Dwight.
no, I think Brother Rob's right, and also Brother Rob said it, and the chat lit up with what Rob was saying. You have to invest in this ministry just like you would invest in the nursery or the children's ministry or the other parts of your church. If you really want success in this avenue, we can't do what maybe a movie theater does or what a massive church might could produce, but we can do with excellence what we're capable to do. But we still have got to realize that it will cost us some things. And if we think we're doing well, I would definitely encourage to have my services looked at or to be evaluated. I'm sure Rob or myself will be glad to connect with any of our churches that are watching to say, "Hey, watch our stream, give us some feedback, to maybe share some pointers as to how it could be done a little differently, or maybe just slap us on the back and say kudos. It's great. You're doing a great job." So I definitely think everything you said, Brother Sobe, is very on point, and the whole conversation is something that we need to be having more often in our churches so that we can improve the message
Right.
quality of what we're trying to share.
And I was able to share this during the planning meeting. The power of being public versus unlisted. Sometimes our church services, being completely honest with you, need to be private circulation or not just completely open to the public. Sometimes our preaching styles can be very for lack of, I guess, a better word there, a bit abrasive or a bit to the point, so much that maybe that the public may misunderstand or misinterpret the good intention behind what we're trying to preach behind the pulpit. So being able to kind of self-assess and sometimes know that this is good for the public or this is not good for the public and maybe just good for our church, and we can have we all of our churches have, I think, groups or like group me WhatsApp groups. We can send out that link instantly, and our church parishioners instantly will get that message or get that service. So it's a benefit that we sometimes don't see that way, because I know there are churches that think that it's like putting the light under the bushel. I don't necessarily see that anymore that way, especially after our conversation. There are times that we have to be able to kind of self-assess and say that we are using this as a tool, not a hindrance to sharing the gospel.
And if I can make a point on what you're saying, Sophie, that this is very quick, Bishop. What you're saying is right. And sometimes it's not just we don't need to stream the whole service. We need to know when to get out of the service, because there are personal moments that happen in a service. And for instance, at Mount Olive, if you watch Mount Olive, we'll cover some of the altar service, but when it starts getting personal, that's when we close the stream and we end the stream, because some of those moments aren't for everybody to be having close-up camera shots of people on the altar. And then sometimes things happen in the altar service that can really confuse people that are watching online, and it becomes fodder for people to make accusations and comments because they weren't in the room and they don't understand what's happening. So you made an incredible point, and I'm glad you made that point. That's all I have to say.
Oh, so powerful. I'm absolutely 100% enjoying the conversation. I agree. I agree. I agree. Reverend Sobey, you hit it on the head. You know, Mr. Rob, you said it earlier. You are your social media, regardless of what you believe. You think you are this, or you think you are that, but you're your social media. If the drums are out banging the preaching, you are just a loud cymbal. I'm sitting here tonight with this little microphone on, and it cost me, I think, about $18, but it's connected to the iPhone, and now no matter what is going on around me, it's picking up the sound over everything. Another thing, many of you may not have thought about is pre-recording your worship, getting your worship from last week, packing that good and making sure that is excellent, and then just utilizing that worship set to show the next following week, and then have a clean start so that your preaching is relevant today, but that worship set is from last week because you actually worked on it, you tweaked it, as Bishop Ritt said, and made sure that sound quality is well. People listen more than they view. And so, oh, this has been phenomenal. Bishop Ritz, I believe we're going to go into our Q&A time. You want to drop the link into our chat so that people can come over to our Zoom room, and we can just talk about some of the easy ways to tweak your social media. Is that what we're doing now?
Yes, that's what we're getting ready to do. Talking about team, one of our team members will drop that in the chat for you. It takes a team to make the dream works. And we're only scratching the surface of things that we could talk about as it pertains to using technology in the church. There was a question that came up about AI, how we could use it. I think Bishop Dwayne mentioned that briefly. So we want to talk more. If you have any questions, please come on over to the Zoom room. We'll talk, and we'll answer any and all questions that you may have. Like I said, we are just scratching the surface. We could talk about this for months and still just only do a dent. But please, keep in mind the reasons why we are doing this. We are doing it to get the gospel out. We are reaching as many people that we can with just this little device, a computer, a social media. We are utilizing this valuable resource in this 21st century to make sure that the gospel reaches the world. We know what Jesus says: go out into all the world and preach and teach the gospel. Thank you so much for joining. If you are on YouTube with us, please head over to Zoom. The link is being provided to you right now. Just click on. Pastor Bishop Dwayne and Brother Rob is going to stay on with us to answer your question. Thank you so much. Bishop, I'll leave you with the final word.
All right.
Utilizing this valuable
Somebody's mute.
in this.
As you come into Zoom, please mute your mics. Go ahead, Bishop. You're muted.
There we go. Thank you, Bishop Ritz. Phenomenal. And thank everyone for joining tonight. As you go back and share this broadcast with your team. I know some of your team couldn't be in the room tonight, but it's very important that you share it. Look at it again. Share it with your people. Pastors, maybe you want to go ahead and tell your people, hey, we're going to rethink somebody's strategy. We're going to move away from Facebook and go over to YouTube or other platforms. Hey, this is what we're talking about. Social media do's and don'ts. We love you. Thank you for joining tonight. We'll see you next Ministers Monday as we talk about how to retain our youth. Love you. Thank you for joining tonight. Kingdom blessings.